Hello and welcome to Canada Reads American Style. I'm Shauna.
And I'm Rebecca. And as all of you know, Shauna and I have spent the last probably 2 years talking about Canadian literature and Canadian authors. However, I begged Shauna to let me branch out to speak to possibly the hottest author to come out of the pandemic. We are pleased to welcome Andrew Cotter, the brains behind the Olive and Mabel viral videos, as well as the author of the wonderfully entertaining Olive, Mabel, and Me, which, by the way, I have a signed UK first edition with Andrew on the cover. Welcome, Andrew.
Hello there. Do you indeed have you've gone to some lengths there then to get the UK edition. So I applaud you for that, and Olive and Mabel, thank you for that.
Absolutely. And in fact, it was funny because obviously I started following you, as everybody did, especially after the first video came out. And I think the minute you posted that you had you were taking pre-orders, I immediately pre-ordered, and I waited.
That was a strange day, Rebecca. That was because my publishers didn't know. They had taken a bit of a gamble on the whole thing, and so when they said, "Could you put a tweet out?" saying that the book's available for pre-order, because they were trying to get pre-orders done online. They were trying to get orders done online because we didn't know what was going to happen in terms of actually being able to shop in the real world. So yeah, I put a tweet out and it went a bit mad. I'm glad you were one of the mad ones then. So
yeah,
welcome. You're part of an elite club.
I am, and I actually, as a book nerd, I take that as a high compliment because
absolutely, that's the way it's meant.
Awesome. Well, I love the book, and I hate to be a gusher, but I'm going to gush about it because I absolutely love the book, not only because I'm a dog lover. I've raised Labs and Goldens for service dogs. I adopt old dogs at end of life, etc. But I just love the book for so many reasons. But the first thing that kind of struck me as a dog mom is that you mentioned in the book that you don't refer to yourself as dad. So I wondered if Olive and Mabel, do they know you by name then?
I don't think they even know who I am, to be honest. I think, no, they do. They love me dearly. They would even, Olive would grudgingly admit it. Mabel would admit it quite openly and just fling herself at me and lie on my chest. But Olive would grudgingly admit that she does love me. So they don't, no, I don't know what they think of me as. I think most dogs think of their humans as the pack leader. Some dogs might actually be the leaders of the pack of the family, but no, those two dogs, who I love dearly, they love me, but I think they do somewhat respect me, but they do see me just as the pack leader. I think I'm just the largest dog in the family with the deepest voice. So, although it's touch and go with Olive, her voice is pretty gruff as well. So I don't know. Yeah, they certainly don't think of me as their dad. Mind you, when Olive met her dad, she didn't think of him as her dad either. I mean, her dad was actually making overtures towards her, which was really quite inappropriate. But I think strange things go on in the dog world, so it's fine. But no, I'm just their keeper and their companion.
That's so funny. I had a golden retriever, the first one we trained to be a service dog, and I lost control of that dog from the get-go. So my husband was the top dog in the family to her, and I was beneath her. It was just ridiculous. But
well, it's nice to let your husband have that one moment of glory where he's the top dog over a small furry object. That's about it, really.
Exactly. Now, I'm going to assume, because of the nature of social media, which is sometimes or often a nightmare, that you get your fair share of social media criticism, like Olive and Mabel not wearing shoes, which you reference in the book, even the fact that they mountain climb and what maybe they eat or don't eat. Because when I follow a lot of animals on social media, and the opinions of people who don't take care of those animals is always amazing. So how do you manage that criticism?
Well, firstly, I mean, again, and it does mention it in the book, that in my former job, and well, still my current job, and hopefully my future job as well as a sports broadcaster, you do get criticism. You get it so quickly and readily.
Oh.
You'll get 90% positive stuff, but there will be 10% people saying, "Well, you got that wrong," or "I didn't like your commentary. I don't like you. Don't like your face. I just don't like anything about you. So I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to send this message to you so you can read it and have a tear roll slowly down your cheek as you read this message that I've sent to you, a total stranger." So here we are, enjoy. But since the Olive and Mabel thing, it's been, I mean, honestly, when I said there have been over the last year, there have been around about 90,000, it must be between 80 and 90,000 messages coming back on Twitter.
Wow.
And I would say that fewer than 20 of them have been negative out of that number. So when I used that example in the book, I really had to look quite hard for examples of, but there were just one or two people who said you shouldn't be doing this. And actually, I was doing a chat with a bookstore, an online event in Texas recently. But there were people joining from all over the world, and a couple of people asked questions and said you shouldn't be taking your dog so close to cliff edges and things like that. And I said, well, I mean, I really do try and maintain the sunny disposition and the cheerful, friendly face. But I feel like saying, honestly, don't bother, because nobody cares more about the safety of my dogs than I do. But I'm not going to. Dogs are not there to be wrapped in cotton wool, as humans aren't either. They're there to live life and have adventures. But if I'm in the mountains with them and it's minus 15 or whatever, I'm taking care of them and I'm looking out for them all the time. And sometimes it might look dramatic. It might look as if we're on the edge of a precipice, but we're not really. And I would never, and if we were near a cornice, I would have them on leads. I say that in the book. I'm always very careful. It's what you have to do nowadays, isn't it? You say something and you have to explicitly say, look, no one was in any danger here, because you're just fearful of the blowback of people saying, oh, you're showing wanton disregard for their safety. So I know lots of people would say, look, I just let it wash over you. It doesn't matter. But I'm very thin-skinned, so I do let things get to me. But again, I'll stress, during the Olive and Mabel thing, there has been so little negative stuff, which is just astonishing on social media.
That is actually amazing, because I see so many other things that I just am horrified by. And my sister tells me, quit reading the comments. I said, yeah, I probably should stop reading the comments. And I never respond to anything like that at all. But I feel bad for the people who are doing the best, taking care of their companions, and people just say stupid things. But I have to, I'm sorry. No, I was just going to say, I have to tell you that the photographs and the videos of you climbing on the mountains with the dogs, those are just some of the most stunning videos and photographs. They're so beautiful.
That's a life that I miss immensely at the moment. I mean, the snow conditions in Scotland just now are really, really good. January's been fantastic, but we can't go anywhere. I don't live in Scotland. I live in England and have done for a long time, but Scotland's still my home, and I go back up there whenever I can. But you can't travel in the UK at the moment, and you're not allowed to. It would be great if I were able to, and it would be as socially distanced as possible. Me, get in my car, drive for 4 hours, get into the hills and just escape for a while. But it's not allowed, so don't do it. But it's hard, because that really is my escape and my release valve for all the sort of tension you feel and stress you feel in the world at the moment, and there is a lot of it. I can cope with 30 days of that if I then have one day of bounding through the snow with my two dogs who are enjoying it as much as I am. Then you get back in the car and come back, and you can cope with anything for a few weeks. And we don't have that at the moment, and it's difficult. But I do find myself flicking through some videos and photos and torturing myself with the great days we've had in the past. But we're lucky to have had those days, and I've got those memories to dig out now and again. But I want to make some new memories pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, and I love the when you put the GoPro on the dogs, and then I think it was Mabel specifically, like running, and just I mean, all the videos, they're just fantastic. I just really enjoy them all.
I don't want to give a massive shout out to GoPro, but their latest cameras have got this stabilization technique, because I used to put a GoPro on Olive and would have her bouncing around in the mountains, and it was unwatchable because the camera is shuggling about so much and going from side to side. But now you put them on, you film it, and you're like a little jockey riding along on the back of Mabel on the beach, where she's sprinting and catching a ball and wheeling around in the sun, and then bounding into the surf and coming out of the waves. And it's just, I mean, technology is terrifying at times, but it's also amazing.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I wanted to ask, kind of a social media question, is whether or not you found your relationship has changed, because I wonder, Shauna and I, we don't get that. I mean, we're doing well in terms of our podcast. We get a lot of downloads, and we're really excited about that, and we sort of track it. But I wonder, does it make you more aware of the statistics? Like, people used to really like it, now they don't, and I'm not getting as much reaction. Does it kind of start to play with your mind?
And it's a terrible thing to admit as well, because you don't want to be that person, but you can't help when you've had something that's been very, very successful. And you see millions upon millions of views, then you think, that was my great fear about carrying on doing the videos, because you fear that you'll do a video and 7 people will watch them, and most of them members of your family just feeling pity for you. So there was always that sort of concern that they wouldn't be successful. Thankfully, they have continued to be pretty successful, but yeah, you do. It's terrible. But again, I talk about this a little bit in the book. It's that dopamine hit that you get when you get appreciation for something, and everybody gets that, no matter how grounded and well-centered they say they are. If anybody gets praise or somebody saying, "Oh, I love this video, I love this thing you did, I love this song, I love this play, I love this book," of course that makes you feel good about yourself. So you want to sort of repeat that. So yes, you do go chasing it a little bit, and you do look at the figures. But I think what I try and do is make sure that if I put out a video that makes me laugh and or makes me think, oh, that's quite good. It's got a charm to it, or it's quite entertaining. Then that's not the most important thing, but it kind of inures you to all the any sort of criticism or lack of interest that it might have, because you know yourself that it's actually quite good. And if you've entertained yourself, you've at least achieved something.
Yeah. Now, mentioning your videos, do you have a favorite to date that of all of the ones you've done so far, a favorite?
If there's one that I would watch again, it's one that some people really appreciated it, but it didn't get the mass views. Is the mockumentary, the behind the scenes documentary we made, which is my favorite.
Loved that. I love that one. Oh my gosh.
It took so long to make, and it was sort of. I felt for a moment as if you were making a little bit of a film, I mean, the weird thing about it is there have been some, like Mabel who's stolen Olive's cloth bone in the garden, or the two of them just running into a pond and I'm doing some Olympic opening ceremony style commentary over them. Those took 30 seconds to make, or they took as long as it took to film them to make, and they get over 1 million views, and it got a similar number to the documentary, but that documentary mockumentary, I should say, took a full 2 weeks, and you purchase the license for the music, and then you end up. It just took a huge amount of time to put together, but it was I felt probably my most creative one. Although having said that, the Zoom meeting is good fun. I love the online dating one as well. I like the mock perfume ad we made a few weeks ago, just before Christmas. So there's some I've really, really enjoyed. There are some I've thought, but every single one of them has hopefully, in my mind, been above a standard. I thought, yeah, I'm happy for that to go out, because I have made a couple of videos that I thought, no, I'm not happy with that. So they've just died inside my phone somewhere. So there are unseen. It's like the unreleased tracks that people find. Oh, they found a Beatles track from 1965 that was never released. Well, there's a reason for that. It was rubbish. So don't put it out. That's why tracks are unreleased. They didn't make the cut. So I've got a couple of unreleased videos that will never see the light of day.
Oh, that's too bad, because those of us who are huge fans, we would love it. No matter how much rubbish you think they are, we would love them all. I'm pretty sure. So
do you know what? The one I fear most on you were talking about the feedback that you get, and the sort of medium that I not fear it, but you see it most starkly is on YouTube, because I put it out on YouTube, and people have subscribed solely for these Olive and Mabel videos, and they get a notification, a new video comes up, and I'm waiting for. I think there has been one comment over the 16 videos I think that are on YouTube of somebody saying, "No, this isn't that good." And I remember that comment. There have been again, 10,000 comments saying, "Love this," whatever. But I am that kind of negative person that I will dwell on that. I toss and turn at night, going, why did he think it was? There was like one person. So the book similarly, this is terrible. I'm showing myself up to be an awful person, but the book similarly has had wonderful reviews, and I love to see that, because I put a lot of time and effort into it. And there was one person on a website said, "I found this really boring," and that's all I can think about. All I can think about is that one, despite the fact that there are hundreds of people saying, "I love this, I laughed out loud, I cried," whatever it might be. There's one person who said, "I found this really boring." And that might just be because it just wasn't what they thought it was going to be, or I don't know. But anyway, so there we are. That's what keeps me awake at night.
Yeah, well, it's just human nature because I think we all do that. But oh my gosh, that is pretty funny. And I have to say, my mom is 80, I don't know, 84, 85 or whatever. Sorry, mom. But anyway, I always, as soon as the videos come out, I show them to her, and we've just enjoyed them so much together. And I've watched them repeatedly because I just love them so much. And the online dating one, the Zoom or the virtual meeting, that one was hilarious because we're all feeling that now that we all
Exactly.
have to meet that way.
You've got to sort of try and capture something of not just of the zeitgeist and whatever we're all going through just now, but just capture something of the way we live our lives and point out the sort of sometimes absurdity of the things we do and you know I mean whether it be, as I say, these strange perfume ads that come out every December, or the online dating, or even just Halloween, whatever it might be, or scams, online scams. That one went down really well because it's got Mabel's sort of naive innocence, and Olive is a bit of a schemer. So just like it's like any sort of I don't know what to call it, as highbrow as any sort of art or comedy or whatever. It's pointing out. It's a sort of observing life, but then somehow putting two Labradors into it.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if you've seen this. Have you seen these dogs that they've got these buttons now? The dogs can tap on the buttons and they actually are speaking.
No.
Okay. Well, no, it's really fascinating because the University of California, I think in San Diego, is doing
Well,
a
it's not
study
Berkeley,
with.
because Berkeley would be better. I know it's Berkeley.
Yeah. Exactly. But anyway, but the people who have the buttons, they actually record their voice saying it. So the dogs are actually they're actually stringing words together. And it's really fascinating because I thought about doing it for my own. I have a Basenji. It's a rescue Basenji. And he's really hard to figure out. I've never had a dog breed that I didn't understand like with this one. And I thought it would be nice just to know, when does he want to eat? Because he's not like a lab where if you put it down, they inhale it. And so I'm always kind of confused, but I wondered if that would be ever anything you would be interested in with Olive and Mabel, to have them sort of speak in that way.
And to understand them. First of all, how does that work? I don't know how
Oh,
that.
I'll send you a link to it because the study is really fascinating, and they're just these buttons on the floor. And then when the dog pushes on the button, it actually says the word. So the dog will say like outside. So the dog will tell you when he wants to go outside.
This sounds exactly like there was an episode of The Simpsons where Homer Simpson's long lost brother, Herb, who had lost all his money because of Homer, bounced back by creating a baby translator, and that was it. So this is what this is. But I thought that technology couldn't work, and I'm skeptical about this technology now. I like the idea that we spend all of our time just going, what do you want? Olive today was just padding around and just whining, just whining. She looked at the sofa and she whined. I think she wanted up on the sofa. She'd just been out and she was soaking wet, so we weren't letting it up, being strict for once. But then she wandered over and looked at some snacks and whined, and then she just wandered outside into the hallway and whined out there as if she wanted out. So I think she was just saying, I just want stuff. I want stuff just now, and I can't understand why you people aren't giving me stuff. And it actually makes me quite cross. So it was just a general whining. There should be a button for that. But the noise that comes out of the dog is just, look, I want stuff. I'm not sure exactly what I want, but I know that I want stuff.
Well, one of the buttons, it's really funny. The one dog I follow that's in the study, one of the buttons is concerned. So I swear to God, when the dog hits the button that says concerned, it just makes me laugh every time, because I know that the dog doesn't literally know what concerned means, but just that the humans have assigned whatever this feeling is that the dog has. I just think it's hilarious.
It's just a vague concern. It's not as if they're furrowing their brow going, I can't believe the way the world's heading, and what about global warming? It's just concern that I'm not getting given things that I want. And I don't even know what it is that I want, but I just want something. Come on, tell me.
Exactly. Oh my God. I will send you the link so you can see it, because it is actually kind of interesting.
I'm going to investigate that.
There you go. Now I wonder, only because, again, I have this Basenji who has a very, very high prey drive, and I have a fenced yard, and I have skunks, and I'm wondering if, because your girls have rolled in a lot of nasty things, and I wondered if they've ever been skunked.
No, we don't have skunks. We don't have skunks in the UK, so we're a skunkless country.
I'm moving there. Oh my gosh.
No, we had Skunk and Nancy. They were a popular group of the 1990s. But no, we don't have skunks at all. So they find other unpleasant things to roll in. But I'm told that the smell of a skunk is just, there's nothing quite as bad as it. So I'm glad that we don't have them over here.
Yeah, and my dog twice. I've been in the house. We just moved in, and we've been here a year. And he got skunked twice, and both times I didn't realize it till he was in the house, and by then it's too late. And yeah,
Is
it's
it?
horrible.
Right.
But I'm moving
Leaving
there.
the doors open for a few days, is that
Oh,
the
it was
answer?
winter. I didn't have a choice. And when I went to work, literally, I said to people, "I'm sorry, my dog got skunked," and they said, "Yeah, we know," because I smelled like a skunk too. So
Okay.
anyway,
And what's a high prey drive? I'm guessing that
oh,
it's not that they're deep and intense worshippers. It's that they look to chase things a lot. Yeah,
yes,
okay.
yeah,
A
yeah,
high
yeah,
prey
yeah.
drive. I'm going to write that down as a North American terminology. You guys are in Canada, right? Is that right? Or are you?
Well, we're actually in Michigan,
Oh, well,
but
okay,
we're
that's
yeah, we're American librarians who just love Canadian literature. It's kind of a weird thing, but yeah. But no, I will say that when I was reading the book, I thought to myself, "There's no question that Olive and Mabel both have high prey drive." I think because when you talk about like being on the mountain and then they see hares or something and then they go running for them,
yes.
yeah, yeah, I think your dogs have that. So
Yeah, so my mum's bull mastiff would have a very low prey drive. It's just because he would look at the prey and go, "Do you know what? I can't be bothered. I've got to shift 140 pounds here. I'm not going to bother. That prey is fine. It can go. I'm going to spare it."
exactly. Okay, a couple other things. I just want to mention that for me, Mabel reminds me of my beloved Adina, who passed in 2013. But she was a yellow lab, and she was a dog who had been in training to be a service dog, but flunked because she ended up with kennel stress when she got into the
Oh
kennels for advanced
no.
training. But it's all good because she came home to me and she was beautifully well trained. But everyone who saw her eat said she was the fastest eater ever. And I just want to say that in the book you talk, and I actually really have great respect that you've kind of gone down this road. You said you weren't really going to sort of monetize the dogs and have like t-shirts and everything. However,
Mm.
if you did, I was going to get a t-shirt that said tasting absolutely nothing, which was what my Adina did. She never actually, everything went in and came out looking the same, by the way. But
Yeah. I
anyway, go
mean,
ahead.
there were some. That was a big thing, and actually now sport looks like shutting down again over here. So I'm going to be. I mean, it's interesting. I've had talking about all sorts of vulgar fiscal things. I've had about 10 days of sports broadcasting work since last
Mm,
March. So if it hadn't been for
wow.
Olive and Mabel, so the temptation to do things like monetizing them and there have been about a dozen or 14 dog food brands interested, but again, you turn them all down. And then there was a company got in touch and said, "Look, we can make T-shirts. You can have an Olive T-shirt or a Mabel T-shirt, or you can have slogans on them." And there would definitely have been demand for. I always tried to get into the first few videos a line that would stick, and I kind of knew as I said it that tasting absolutely nothing would stick. Just as I knew in the archive sports commentary one that Mind of a Wolf, Body of a Care Bear would probably
Hmm.
catch on as well. So
Hmm.
I could have seen T-shirts with those on them, and I'm sure they would have been popular for the devotees of Olive and Mabel. But again, it's weird. When videos go viral, you can just grab at everything that comes your way, and there was so much coming in. I mean, so much. It was extraordinary. But again, I wanted them to retain a sort of innocence, a sort of escape from the world that we live in, which is all about, well, quite often all about the money and the success. And so I wanted them to be a total escape from that. So it's been tempting. My
Yeah.
iron will has bent at times, but I haven't. Yeah, I haven't. Well, let's see how we go with a few months more of no sports broadcasting. I'll be there
Yeah.
wearing the t-shirt and the baseball cap, pointing out a calendar on Instagram and going, "Hey guys, sign up to this absolute crap because it's yours for 19.99."
Well, even if you have to go down that road, because I think, the thing about the pandemic is it's kind of, it keeps going and there's all sorts of new things that are happening with it and stuff. So if you have to go that way, I'm still going to have great respect that you held out as long as you could. So whichever direction you go,
Thank you.
I'll
If everyone
always
see
be.
if everyone had that attitude, I'd be all over it. Say, "Look, guys, I really did hold out a long, long time. They don't know that I've stockpiled in a warehouse calendars and t-shirts and baseball caps." So, and no, yeah, we'll see how we go. But I think I'll probably just keep it to. I mean, I suppose writing a book was monetizing it in a way, but not as overtly as doing the sort of merchandise thing.
Yeah, no, I don't see that at all the same. And one of the reasons I would say that is because, and kind of my sort of almost maybe last question is, you know, I love the book. I thought it was really wonderful. And of course, obviously, we all are going to buy it because that initial, oh my gosh, it's about Olive and Mabel and Andrew, et cetera. But I want to know if you're going to continue to write, because at the end of the book, you said, you know, you're kind of at a crossroad. You're not quite sure what direction you want to go. And I really think, at least I would love more books. They don't even have to have maybe just a hint of Olive and Mabel, but more about your climbing. Because I have to say, even when you said something, I think about kind of that geeky geography or geology stuff you had at the beginning. I think a lot of us love that. And I've always been attracted to books about people who climb because it's something I'm never going to do, but I love to read about people who do it. And so I want more of that. So is there any chance we'll get more of that?
Yeah, I do, and I'm glad you do as well. But it's you're sort of narrowing the audience, and then publishers say, no, we want it to be as broad an appeal as possible. But it's very interesting because I'm in conversations about a possible second book at the moment, and there are a couple of people interested. But then so yes, I would quite like to write another one because I enjoy writing, and it's encouraging to hear you say that it doesn't. You know, I've kind of done writing about a whole book about dogs type of thing. I would like to write about my interests are not, you know, solely, you know, restricted to dogs or to Olive and Mabel. So you'd like to write about something else, but write in the same sort of light, observational, whimsical style. And there might be an appearance from Olive and Mabel in that book, but who knows? Yeah, you like to sort of write about life. I mean, if I could sort of follow anybody's style, it would be someone like Bill Bryson. You know,
I was just going to say Bill Bryson. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and you know, he was a travel writer, and he still is although he's hung up his pen for now. But you know that he's still a travel writer. But he writes about any subject really, and it's just he observes life and all the silliness and strangeness of it, and so you don't have to necessarily just write about one topic. So. You know, maybe I should get a T-shirt with Bill Bryson, but with dogs on it. That's
exactly.
My motto. So.
No, but it's funny that you should mention him because I wasn't going to say his name, but that's exactly how I kind of thought of because he's one of my favorites. And I used to work in a library in Sacramento, California, and we had him as a speaker. Oh. And it was funny when he was there, I worship him so much that I thought, when I meet him, I'm probably going to think he's kind of a jerk. You know, I don't know. And I was so happy to say that he was actually more charming and just so wonderful to hear him speak live. Yeah. But it's that same kind of writing, which I absolutely love, which is that it's like you say, it's observational. It's about our lives and it's said in a way, and you have such a way with words. And I have to tell you, the part about climbing Mount Fuji, that part really stood out for me. I want more of that because I swear reading that, I've never been to Japan. I'm probably never going to climb Mount Fuji, but I'm reading it thinking I could feel it. Like when you talked about walking on that ash and then just how the lights, when you were walking back down, you had to turn them off. Everything felt so visceral for me reading it.
Well, that day remains so sharp in my memory that, I wanted to write about that but then it's interesting, a couple of negative comments again, which I dwell on. Someone had written in a review in America, said, I really enjoyed the book, but wish he hadn't written about mountains. It should be about dogs. I said, well, it's, I can't do every single chapter about dogs. It's nice to take a little break and actually go off and have a little diversion where the original book was actually going to be called Olive, Mabel, the Mountains and Me, which kind of takes up the whole cover, but it was going to be more mountainy. But then as the interest in the videos increased and just kept on going, we thought, right, okay, we can just do it just on the dogs. But we wanted to keep a slight mountainy theme to it. And that doesn't mean it has to be just for people who love the mountains. I think you can enjoy, hopefully, the descriptions and the escape into a world which you might not know anything about. But I can feel and see that day on Fuji so clearly on this amazing mountain on my own that I kind of wanted to describe that and bring it to people who might not have been there or might have been there and sort of remember their own experience of it. But it was it just felt like the right sort of flow because I was talking about being away from the dogs as well, and it was in Japan in particular that I was missing them. And so here's a little diversion while I go and climb Fuji. And there's nothing wrong with taking a little break from constant Olive and Mabel or dog stuff for one chapter to tell this story.
Yeah. For me, it gave me a taste of what more you could provide to us as readers. And I really hope, I'll keep my fingers crossed and hope that that will happen, because I definitely want to read more of what you have
Well, I'd
to
love to do
write.
that. I mean, I really would love to do that. And I'm going to, this recording is obviously going to be kept, and I'm going to be sending it to our publisher and saying, look, there we are. We've got one sale, so let's just make the retail price £50,000.
There you go.
Rebecca
I'm
will buy it for
ha-
that.
happy to do it. Absolutely. But I think, they always say that when one person speaks for, I think, seven. So I think there's at least seven people out there that you could,
Oh,
we could
tremendous.
divide that out. But no,
Yeah.
I mean, but seriously, I really, really hope that you find the next chapter of your life, and that it gives you the fulfillment you're looking for in this. Although I have to laugh when you said at 47, that's kind of like the
Yeah,
midway
okay.
point.
Well,
I
it
thought,
was only
son
because
of a
I've been.
bitch.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm having
yeah.
more than that.
Listen, I knew that, but I was told, because I'd been on a podcast before. It was a podcast about middle age, and they had said, "Do you know the definitive point of middle age is 47?" I said, I mean, I don't feel physically 15, but mentally I do. Maybe not 15. Let's just say 25 or something like that. But I think all of us feel forever young. Mentally, and we all look around and go, how did this happen? How did I get to this age, whatever it might be, 50, 60, 70, 80? I
Yeah.
mean, this has just gone by in a flash. But yeah, so I'm still mentally quite young, but I think that's a good thing. But by God, it physically catches up with you. But yes, I would love to listen. I'm definitely going to write something else, but it's
Good.
just deciding what it is going to be on. But yeah, Andrew and his cats called Derek and Stuart.
There you go.
I don't have cats called Derek and Stuart, but maybe I should get them now.
No, please don't. Just keep the dogs. And then my last thing that I just want to ask is, when I read about the woman Hazel who has done all of those Monroes,
Yeah.
my question is, when I retire in a couple of years, I'll be like 63. Could I be doing that? Am I could I, if I get in shape, could I do that, you think, at 63?
Of course you could be doing that. Absolutely. I know people who've climbed the final Monroes when they were getting up to 80. So yeah, absolutely, it's possible. I would say though that it's interesting. The grass is always greener on the other side. I think in particular during the pandemic, when we haven't been able to travel, we look at faraway lands and think, oh, I'd love to be there. I've looked at a lot at North America, USA and Canada, and thought, oh, it'd be great to be in the wide open spaces and the snow and the mountains or whatever it might be, or the sunshine in the summer. I'd love to be over there, because the UK, I think when you're all shut down, the UK is a small country. England in particular, as part of the UK, is very, very busy and crowded, and you feel kind of claustrophobic and hemmed in. Whereas I look across, I was looking at, this is a very strange thing, but I was looking, not for any reason of purchase, but I was looking at ranches in Montana the other day on a real estate website. I was thinking, look how many acres you can buy for the price you pay for a semi-detached in the UK. Oh, that's it. I'm going to become a rancher in, maybe not Montana, Wyoming. Let's go to Wyoming, and I can be on the fringes of Yellowstone and have the wide open spaces, and Olive and Mabel can have their high prey drive for some elk or moose or something.
Absolutely.
I'll get chased by a brown bear. Anyway, so there we are. Yeah, it's yeah. You would enjoy climbing mountains, but the weather is certainly better over in the US and Canada. So, but yeah, come over and start.
Okay, good. Because my sister and I, we have this dream to retire in Scotland. That's just kind of a silly dream that we have.
Again, I would say just be careful, because you see a stylized, idealized version of Scotland in pictures. I see the pictures that I put on I think, and the Scottish Tourist Board puts out. So we've done that on the one day of good weather in the year in Scotland. We grew up in a cloud, basically. It's a very, very wet and windy country. It's beautiful when it all goes right, but you might not be seeing the whole picture.
Well, I will end with this. I have to say, I lived in California for 30 years, and I moved back to my home state of Michigan, and because winter and snow and crappy weather was my favorite. Yeah. So I think I might have a Scottish sensibility, possibly. Yeah.
Now, winter and snow is great. Crappy weather, though, is not great, and we have a lot of that as well. So
yeah. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us. We really, your your beautiful dogs, Olive and Mabel, have just set the world in such a happy frame of mind during this pandemic, and we so appreciate that. Love the book. Looking forward to what comes next, and I hope that that happens sooner rather than later. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you very much indeed. Thanks.
You can follow Andrew at Mr. Andrew Cotter on Instagram, and follow us at Canada Reads American Style. Thanks so much for listening, and have a great day. Bye.